What's going on, Kaiju friends and family? Raw Attitude back for a very special, very exciting interview. We all grew up, as so many of you did, with this person, just a voice of our childhood. I'm so excited. I've even got sweaty palms. I'm like nervous. I feel like I'm going to my first dance. This is so great. And of course, with me, as always, my brothers from other mothers, Eric Stolp, the bearded Kaiju himself.
What's going on? Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I have goosebumps because this means so much to me because this is my introduction into anime. Cemented voice of this character that we grew up with for so many years, and it is just an honor to have her on here. I am excited, really, I am.
A-Train, Adrian, how you feeling, buddy?
Just like y'all, got a little bit of nerves. They finally kicked in, but I'm also excited to talk to our guests as well. It's gonna be a great time, guys. So we're looking forward to talking to her today.
It sure is. As always, I am Joe, your host tonight, and our guest tonight is an American voice actress, best known for her English dubbing roles as the child version of Goku in the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball GT series, as well as the young and teen versions of Goku's son, Gohan, in Dragon Ball Z. She started in this business in 1989 and has 35 years of experience. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, Stephanie Nadolny. Welcome.
Welcome.
Here I am.
First off, thank you so much for joining us. Like we were telling you in the back room, we're all such huge fans, and it's an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's an honor. The pleasure's all mine. I wish my little screen looked more clear. I guess I need to invest in a new camera. We had some before we started anyway, so I know what to do.
Yeah.
Some better lighting.
No, you look fine. You look fine.
Look great.
Yes.
You look bad, guys. Stop it. You look bad. I'm just kidding. No, it's not your fault. We're good.
I'm going to get right into it because we have a crap ton of questions for you. And I want to start relatively, probably easy, probably basic. How did you start in voice acting?
Yes, that is the number one, a landslide question that I get. So I was ready for that one.
Yeah.
I'll try to
Sorry for not being more original.
No, it's fine. Not everybody sees all the interviews. Not everybody has heard the origin story. So, you ask it. I'm going to just say it again. No worries there. I'll try to summarize the best I can because the way I got into the business as a whole, meaning show business, was through singing, through being a singer, dancer, dramatic actress in a show band called Vince Vance and the Valiants, which actually I started with a band prior to that in 89. It was kind of my high school going into college band. And then I got the audition through that band because my voice was heard through a window, which is crazy, isn't it? So this guy across the street heard me singing. We were jamming out or whatever. He came over after when I was leaving and said, "Hey, I've got a really cool show band. Are you interested in auditioning?" And I was like, okay. And I was whatever, because some things work out, some things don't. So why not? Right. So I went to his audition and met his manager who managed Vince Vance and the Valiants. And then that is how I got in with Vince Vance and the Valiants. Took off in a show band at 19, tour bus, the whole bit, planes, trains, automobiles, sleeping on the, floor of the airport, and 2 other girl singers. So I was kind of the baby at the time. And we did singing, dancing, acting, choreography, and costuming. And then I did that. I ended up doing that for over 2 decades, 25 years. I just actually recently went back with them because they have like reunions. The band's 53 years this September. Like the band's older than me in a way. Like, I was a fetus when I joined the band. No, the band started in 71, and then I joined in 91 at their 20 year. And then I got the bug and was hooked and kind of never wanted to leave. I thought I'd go back to college and get a degree, but once I was on the road performing 200 plus 50 days a year, I was hooked.
Holy cow.
Performing on stage is what I'd always wanted to do my whole life, even as a child. So that was my first chance to actually really do it, because my parents were like, no, and we're moving around a lot, and they weren't going to let me go to LA or whatever and try to do all that child star stuff or try for it anyway. So then I met other musicians, and we, Vince Vance of the Valiants has a very popular #1 country Christmas song called "All I Want for Christmas Is You." It came out in 1989. I didn't record it, but I did sing it for many years live. It's the original "All I Want for Christmas Is You," not the Mariah Carey. She had hers come out 5 years later, but it was a different song, same title, so people get confused. So that can be looked up online. There's a bunch of stuff about all that, but when I joined that band, I met just a lot of people in the DFW industry, including the band Brave Combo, which is a Grammy Award-winning polka band. I started working on original music with Carl Finch, who I'm trying to make this easy to understand. So then we did an original album, and then I started working with them and traveling with them a little bit. And one of their biggest fans was one of the directors of Dragon Ball Z. I didn't know any of this at the time, but through working with Carl Finch of Brave Combo, I got an audition for Chuck E. Cheese, started doing voice acting for them for Helen the Hen, mostly the singing voice. And then I got in with Jimmy Toys and started doing all these multiple character voices, singing songs, voice acting, but singing in the character voice, which is what I found was quite a bit more of a unique talent than, say, one or the other. So that's, I think, what kind of set me apart. And so when I was at a recording session for an album, Barry Watson, one of the directors, heard my voice, asked me if I was interested in more voice acting. I said, absolutely. It's what I do. I've been doing funny voices since I was a kid anyway. This is, love it. You combine it. It's fun stuff, and mimicking and my favorite cartoon characters is something I was already doing, just as a hobby. So 6-8 months later, I guess that was 98. And he called me. I gave him my information and we exchanged information back in the day. We didn't have cell phones, or we were starting to get cell phones back then, I guess.
Yeah.
And he called me in for the audition. And so I came in and auditioned for all the females. I'd never heard of anime, never heard of Dragon Ball Z, never heard of any of that. So I just came in knowing I was going to be doing some kind of character voices for an audition. And that's all I knew. Other origin stories are completely different, where they already know that the name of the show is this, or they know about anime. I didn't know anything about any of it. And Funimation was a little baby company, and they had already been recording other actors in Vancouver prior to our auditions. And what ended up happening is, I don't know exactly how you explain it, but they recast the show in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. It's a right to work state. They could do a lot of things in-house for way less money. No residuals, no royalties. There's no union. So basically I don't know what they did with the Canadian actors. I've met quite a bit of them actually at some of the Comic-Cons. It's been really fun. But they recast the show basically. And I pretty much I got the role of Gohan as a child, which I, again, didn't know who that was. I didn't even go in there to audition for a boy voice at all. I went in to audition for all the female voices, and at the very end they said, can you do a voice of a young child? And I said, well, let's do it, let's do it, or whatever. And they started to make it a little more raspy, and I followed direction. They liked it, and that's what started my anime career. Was I got the voice of Gohan. And at the time he was kind of more of a background character. It was like the Ginyu saga. And then as the years went by, I learned more about the show itself and its origin in Japan anime, and how it was kind of one of the gateway animes. You've got your big ones, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And now those are going on their 25th anniversaries, and those voice actors are at a lot of the events. And I just saw a bunch of them last weekend in San Antonio for NostalgiaCon. So I'm kind of seeing how everything kind of has been lining up over the years. But a lot of us, in fact, all of us, I had no idea that the popularity was anywhere like it was and is still due to its nostalgia.
Right. So
crazy. That's how I got I basically was integrated and met the right people and had a good solid resume. I didn't even have an agent at the time. I was just already independently hustling and working my own stuff. So that's how I did it, contract labor. And man, I'm just a hard worker, and I love people. So I'm very good with, HR and public relations and working with, I don't know, just people person. When you're used to performing in front of an audience, a lot of times those types of people, the creative types, are extroverts, because that's what we do. We perform, we entertain.
Absolutely. Now you were talking about you used to imitate some of your favorite characters back in the day when you were younger. What were some of those that you really liked to really imitate and really emphasize on more than the others?
Mostly when I was young, I would make up my own characters, and then I would like get a cassette tape and like have a friend come over, and we would like interview each other, and she would do a voice and she'd be the interviewer, and we'd split it. That's when it really started. I guess I was probably about 11 or 12, and I was already, I mostly imitated my family members and my babysitters, and like, my Nadolny's Polish and my extended family on my dad's side are all up in Rhode Island. So I would mimic like my relatives and their accents and stuff. And I guess one of the first I can remember was my Aunt Manya, and I ended up using her voice in an episode of Dragon Ball. She was just one of the villager ladies. And
oh, really?
Yeah, I channeled her. Rest in peace. I miss her so much. We were, far, many, many miles away. But when I do remember her voice, and it was distinctive, and it was, Stephanie, your Uncle Randy. I'm so sorry. He passed away last November.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that morphed into Homer. I don't think that's such a good idea. It's kind of more of a Simpsons.
Marge, yeah.
Marge, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so that I don't know why these raspy character voices became so easy for me. That just became kind of my thing. I'm just naturally better at it. I think it's because I did start so young, and I was singing and singing in church, and always working with my voice and seeing what the limits were and how malleable, whatever that word is. I mimicked Donna Summers, my favorite singer of all time. I even mimicked Neil Diamond, and that's a tough one because he sings really, really low. It's like, if you know what I mean, he's a little harder. But I would just mimic my favorite singers and just make up my own characters. And now I do Beavis and Butthead and Bobby Hill from King of the Hill, and some of the South Park characters. Is it Timothy? Man, Beavis and Butthead's, yeah, damn, man. A great Cornholio, come out with your pants down. And then I gotta do my Bobby Hill. But Dad, all this time I thought I was an extra large, but I'm actually a medium at the fat kid store. Young, raspy boy voices, that's pretty much I've done other voices, but the bulk of my career has been Gohan and Goku as a boy. Dragon Ball, we did Dragon Ball after Dragon Ball Z. We did them backwards. Of course, we figured all that out later because the company was just kind of growing and securing the paperwork for more properties. And then they moved into Blue Gender, and then they picked up Fruits Basket and Yu Yu Hakusho. I did some background voices for that one and sang the Yu Yu Hakusho theme, Sayonara Bye Bye. Was able to really utilize my vocal talents at that point because that's where it kind of
you sang the ending theme for Yu Yu Hakusho?
I did.
I did not. So Yu Yu Hakusho is my all-time favorite anime. Dragon Ball Z is number 2. I had no idea that was you. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, that's the whole connection that I had prior to even the audition, because I was working with Carl Finch of Brave Combo and Vince Vance and the Valiant. So I was already working with musicians, and Barry Watson was a fan of Brave Combo. He hired basically Brave Combo to come in and do all the music. So Brave Combo, Carl Finch produced all of the music for Yu Yu Hakusho, Case Closed, Fruits Basket, or I think Fruits Basket. I might be wrong on that one. And then I started recruiting singers because they are like, well, we got to have different singers. And I'd already worked with so many singers and mentored young girls for Vince Vance and the Valiants for at that point was almost a decade. I guess it was a decade. So I had people to call. I knew how to recruit talent. I knew how to direct them. I directed a couple of the singers. I got behind the director role seat, which was way cool. Open to doing more of that.
Just when I thought I wouldn't like you anymore. So. Memory that you sing on your Yu Hakusho.
Oh, believe me, I got haters. All right, I got haters out there.
Well, you point me in their direction. I'll fix them up for you.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got a shovel and some
Yeah, I got a lot of acres.
weapons. No, I'm not a violent person. But they know not what they do.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
That's great, Adrian. I'm sorry. I know you were going to go.
What is it? Twitter. I have an account, but I kind of stay off of that one because
It's pretty toxic.
nasty.
It's pretty toxic.
Yeah.
The bully thing moving every 2-3 years of my life. So I don't really want to. I don't really have time or space in my life for any of that negativity. So I just kind of stay.
Absolutely.
I'm out of here.
Absolutely.
And just try to promote all the positive stuff.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure. And then it's funny how you have done so many different voices and things of that nature. How exactly did you find your voice for Kid Goku and Gohan?
That was strictly like following direction. So like when I went into, I remember the day that I went in, and boy, I'm glad I made it to that audition, by the way.
Change your life. Yeah, honestly.
I mean, of all things to put me on the map, that was I wouldn't have guessed, but not complaining at all. I love it. I love voice acting and singing equally. I love them both. And they're both, to me, they're just an extension of the other. You know, one's singing and one, still you're utilizing your voice as your instrument. But I remember walking in, and it was like there was no American Idol back then, but it felt like that. I mean, it was like I remember having a podium and a microphone just for volume, and there were like 3 judges, and they were like, I know it was Barry Watson, and 2 of the other potential directors were there, and I'm just glad that I got over my stage. I had stage fright, believe it or not, when I was like a young child, 10, 11. I had really, really bad. I wanted to be on stage and performing all the time, but I was dreadfully scared of that, being kind of bullied and picked on by I had some stuff going on with some pretty bad step monster stories, and I had a lot of people picking on me because I did have that confidence or that aura or that creative energy that some people love it, they latch onto it, and some people are like threatened by it for whatever reason. So I had a lot of self-esteem issues because I was just always trying to plant and find a firm footing of what is home. And we were just constantly, I was being uprooted all the time in the middle of the school year. I would just be we'd be transported to another city, mostly around Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. But the only one that made me feel safe was my mom. And I ended up losing her the year I was cast as Gohan 25 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Environmental toxin cancer. Yeah. So then that happened. So I've just had a lot of disarray in my life, and I've never had really any constant. And so that's been a big obstacle. I mean, we all got something. We all got obstacles. We are constantly trying to kind of climb a mountain. So I'm basically kind of feeling like I'm a miracle person because I somehow made it through so much loss and grief. And then I just lost my father in January, and I hadn't seen him in 12 years. And I'm childless, unfortunately. Wasn't able to have kids. I had 2 that I wasn't able to have. So now I'm empowered by my fans and by the face-to-face reactions and stories I get from the fans that talk about how Dragon Ball Z was their favorite show, or it got them through hard times, or whatever it is. I mean, it really propelled me out of some really dark years, like really hard times. And so I'm grateful for that, because that's what I latched onto. So I consider all you guys my anime babies, and I have anime babies all over the world. I love them, and I'm empowered by them, and I try to just always be, kind and encouraging and to anybody and everybody, because I don't want to be bullied. I hated being bullied, and I'm not going to bully anybody. It's the last thing I want to do. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's my little tidbit of a story there.
Yeah,
where it kind of all came from.
You mentioned earlier, and this kind of ties into what you just said about us being your anime babies and stuff, but Dragon Ball Z, I think, and I don't think I'm alone in thinking this, is arguably the biggest anime in the history of animation. I don't think
I hear that. I know there's others, and there's a ton of them constantly being,
for sure.
you know.
I mean, there were some huge ones for sure. Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, like, but realistically, the one that the one that put anime on the map
a long time ago. What, that was the 60s or something, wasn't it? I think there was
Which one?
Speed Racer.
Oh yeah, that
Oh yeah.
Racer, go.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, and the fans will know more about this than I do, but like, so when I went into audition, I was told it was a cartoon. It is a cartoon. It's an animated feature, but the fact that it's was started and developed and produced and directed in Japan is why it's anime. So Japanime is kind of that whole thing. So I know some of the fans get really protective of that, you know.
Oh yeah.
Because they're, I mean,
yeah, for sure.
they're kings of it. They just are. So I get people asking me sometimes, well, do you ever go to Japan, or do they ever? I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's the other way around. Like, we want Japanese actors to come here because they're the pioneers that voiced it first in Japanese. So it gets kind of confusing.
And that actually ties into my next question. Considering how just huge and impactful Dragon Ball is, how do you feel knowing that you essentially got to help introduce this in the States? I mean, because you are, and this isn't just blowing smoke, like you are a voice for so many people's childhood. I mean, is that like the craziest thing? I mean, is there, how do you feel about that?
I mean, it's humbling, to be quite honest. It's like, wow. I mean, I feel like I really have to protect it and be careful of, you know, of my life and the decisions I make, and, you know, because I care so much about it and I'm so grateful for it. And well, I mean, I'm just glad, like I said, I'm just really glad that I was where I was in my career, where I was with my life. And to have made it to that audition and to have made an impact enough to be cast, and then to be cast as Goku in Dragon Ball.
Yes.
Which that was kind of like, that was unexpected. And then of course we did a lot of the cast. The original cast was a small cast of people, so we were voicing multiple characters. And I mean, I was East Kai, Baby Trunks, a German English teacher, babies crying, women screaming, and then we would do what they call Walla, where we're like 2 or 3 of us would get in the booth and we would talk amongst ourselves, and we would become like layers and layers of villagers, and because everything you see was Japanese and always will be, but then we were dubbing, they call ADR, in English. So, but even the music and the sound effects and everything was all done at Funimation.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why, it gets confusing for people that don't watch anime. Of course, it's more mainstream now than ever, but like, they're like, what do you mean you dubbed it in English? What does that mean? Because some people were already watching anime and Japanese and reading the English subtitles. So that, you know, when I really saw how big it was when I went to a couple things. Vince Vance and the Valiants was hired to do a naval base tour where we were performing over in Europe, in Italy, Spain, and Greece. And that was June of 2000. And I saw Dragon Ball Z stuff like all over the place over there. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I saw, you know, manga and Dragon Ball Z shirts and t-shirts and anime merchandise in the souvenir stores in like Italy. And then when I turned on the TV in my hotel room, it was playing in Italian, and I saw and heard Gohan in that episode speaking in Italian, and I was blown away. And then my first convention was that same summer. It was my first ever Comic-Con appearance. I didn't even know what it was, to be honest. It was San Diego Comic-Con in summer of 2000. And that's when I started to kind of put the pieces together to realize how big the show was. But still, I still thought it was going to have a life that was going to fade, and it was going to be part of the past and we archived or whatever. But over the past, since 2017, the Comic-Cons were asking me and reaching out to me online, like, why aren't you doing Comic-Cons? I'm like, oh, well, my gosh, I'm old news. Like, I did that stuff years ago. they probably want the new actors or they want new people doing new stuff or whatever. And it's not that I resisted it. I just really didn't feel like I was relevant enough to be a guest at a convention anymore, because I'd done so many, years and years prior. But then it kind of hit me that this is nostalgia. This is, I'm booked almost, I think, every weekend this year for the first time, like ever, with just appearances, Comic-Cons overseas this summer. Like all these things are happening, and I'm always blown away by it and always humbled by it and completely, totally flattered. Because I always swore as a kid I would never, ever, no matter how quote unquote famous or unfamous or I swore I would never get an ego about it. I would never change that kind of small town girl next door. Like that's kind of how I grew up, and that became part of who I am. And my mother was amazing and just so wonderful and generous and kind, and she was always laughing and spreading joy and love, and it was just ingrained, so I just knew that wasn't going to happen, and I would do whatever I had to do to never get that attitude or get that nasty kind of like, I'm better than you. I just was never going to let that happen. So
yeah, you can just tell, like just your bubbly personality and how you're talking to us now, like it definitely shows and translates to what you're saying, because we're a small podcast, and we just shot for the fences, we're like, hey, honestly, Joe is the one who made the connection with you and stuff, and we're like, hey, we're gonna do it and we're just gonna see, and honestly, we were honored and privileged. We're like, holy crap, she actually responded, and it's so nice to hear that and know that, like, like you said, like some of these people kind of, it gets to their heads, they get that ego and they think they're better than everybody. I'm not going to say everybody's like
some
that, but
people
it
just
does
throw themselves at them and they throw them money constantly, and they just don't. They're however they become whatever they become because of that. And some don't do interviews at all, or some don't do conventions, or some don't like doing that anymore, or some that's all we do. Like right now, that's all I'm doing. Well, just like, because I'm auditioning for new stuff, and as everybody's different, and that's why I think that why I'm not say bigger than I am is because I stayed true to my roots, and it probably cost me some roles. Like I wasn't brought back for Kai or Super. I don't know if I'll be brought back for anything. It's been 15 years. So I think that maybe my personality or my who kind of I was didn't really fit with some of the, I don't know how to say it, like things are just done a certain way. And with certain directors, if you don't do something a certain way, you can be gone, and you won't even have to be explained why, because it's Texas right to work state. So if you just fall out of favor for whatever reason, you're late too many times, or you talk too much, or you're too anxious, or whatever it is you can lose. That's why I'm embracing this so hard. It's in my clutches, because I know that it's not going to last forever. And I want to relish in it. I want to live in the moment. I don't want to live in the past or the future. I want to really try to live in the moment and embrace it, and really be present at those events, and really listen to my fans, because they're amazing. Anime fans are so loyal and so diehard, and they know so much about it, and I'm always like, I learn from them because they've watched every episode. They know all the voice actors. They know the background. It's amazing. It blows me away.
Yeah. You're just being very humble with what you have taken, with the chances that you have and stuff like that. And honestly, I safe to say, I think that your personality honestly has translated with Gohan's personality. Honestly, like it really has, like, just talking to you just a short time and just thinking of the character Gohan, you guys were made for each other, honestly.
I'd say my spirit animal. He's my spirit anime character. And you know what? Even more so is there was such the way my life was when I was cast, and then everything I went through with my mother and her sudden loss at she was only 51. And she was about to be a grandmother. My brother had 2 girls right after that. But so that was going on. There was all this like life struggles that there was just a lot going on. I was just about to go to my 10-year class reunion. And when I look back at the struggles I had after I completed my roles, it's very Gohan, because Gohan lost his dad, and Gohan had to channel his dad's energy and to defeat Cell in the Cell Saga. So I also channel my mom's energy in my own everyday life with my own obstacles of being, you know, kind of like orphaned and childless and kind of floating around, you know, and I found that there was a resilience there that I didn't even know I had, like, and Gohan didn't know he had it either. Like in the year 99, it's like, I didn't know. I was just going through the motions. I was a 20-something-year-old kid, you know, going to work, traveling with a show band and dealing with the loss of my mother. And you just really learn the value of the human spirit when you are basically smacked in the face with stuff like that, like really big stuff. And everyone has big stuff. Stuff is bigger. There's no need to compare. It's however, whatever's hard for you is what's hard for you, you know, depending on how you were raised and, you know, the bullying and whatever. When I say bullying, I wasn't really like physically bullied so much, as more of it was just like being made fun of and being the new girl.
It's mental. Yeah, absolutely.
Emotional. And I never thought I would thank those people, but in a way I'm kind of like, because I got where I was and that was part of my hardship, and it taught me to have a fire under my butt to get the hell over my stage fright and whatever I had to do to go out and be independent and live my life without my mom and without kids and without a family, really. And I never thought that would happen. I came from a huge family. My mom and dad were both the oldest of 4. So my brother and I were the first babies, the first grandbabies. And so I do have some extended family, cousins and stuff, aunts and uncles, but nobody's here, like in Texas, just my brother and his daughters and family. But like, it's like they're there, but when you lose your parents, I mean, that's so huge. Like the people that brought you in the world, you know, and then not being able to have kids. And I absolutely love kids. So I really relish in the fact I can just get up and jump in the car and go somewhere and then hug on everybody else's babies, you know, like they bring the kids to the conventions and they dress them up as Gohan and Goku, and it's so cute. And it's just cathartic, you know, and there's photo ops and there's memories, and I'm meeting some of these fans that have become friends of mine. They're my circle of friends. I've got my artsy fartsy people that are my creative. When I say artsy, I mean the ones that are actually artists that like draw. I have a lot of some of their art on my table. Ozzy DeVirus is in Orlando. He's amazing. I've got a lot of his art on my table. There's also a slew of people that I see in the con circuit now that I'm kind of like back in, and now that I kind of feel like I'm a part of something, and that's kind of what was missing in my life. I really didn't feel like I was a part of anything anymore. I felt like the meaning and my utilization was just gone. And so the Comic-Cons have brought me back to life and have given me a real sense of purpose.
That's amazing.
Here we are, you know, and then the interviews are fun because I get to, you know, meet people like you, and we get to, you know, connect with fans in yet another way. Thank you, COVID, in a way. I mean,
literally.
Thank you to COVID. Now, I never thought I would say that I was like thankful for that, but they did prepare me for my adult bullies. Not that they were intending to do whatever they were doing. We were kids, you know, we were immature 13, 14-year-old kids, you know, but it did make me stronger. It did press me and push me to be better and to grow some thick skin, because I'm just, you know, it's always so sweet and, you know, everybody's so sweet. Well, real life ain't sweet all the time. You know, put your big girl panties on, get up, get your sorry ass out of bed and get out of your self-pity and get out there and hit the pavement and freaking make something happen, because we are here for a vapor. Like, I mean, Dan tells me this all the time. He's like, we are like here and then boom, we're gone. Like time and space, it feels like it's a long time, but you wake up one day and you're 45, 50 years old and you're like, holy, I get to cuss. Holy shit. I'm oh yeah. And so what do they say? Get off the pot.
Shit or get off the pot.
Get off the pot.
Things aren't going to necessarily come to you. Like you can't the phone's just not going to start ringing just because oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was something else I learned, is that, you got to go after your dreams, but more than anything, I really have learned a lot about integrity and just being a better person and being much more careful with boundaries and with different people in the industry, agents, managers, other voice actors. Like I've really learned that a lot of them are amazing and they're crazy talented. But talent does not equal good person, or talent doesn't equal integrity. Talent doesn't equal honesty. And these people are actors, we're voice actors. So there's also that whole thing behind, oh, well, how do you know they're not acting?
Right.
Are they being genuine and
true.
sincere with
Very
you?
true.
And so we learn those hard lessons when you think someone's your friend and then you find out they've kind of betrayed you. Like that's happened several times too. And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
maybe I need to be like, grow me some Dragon Balls and like really, this shit. It's like allow it to be a motivation and not a hindrance, and not let it bury you, but let it be a fire that burns, that makes you get up every morning and be like, no, I'm not going to let this happen anymore. Damn it. So, yeah.
So you're kind of touching on some of the people that kind of rub you the wrong way. What about the people that really inspire you, especially in like the voice acting community? Is there anybody in particular that just you really look up to, or anybody that you really want to work with particularly?
Well, I'm meeting all kinds of people in the con circuit. I'm meeting other voice actors, as anime voice actors. I did some work with OKKO, Let's Be Heroes, and that was an American Cartoon Network show. I look up to, I guess, the creators and those who have a vision that's like their own story. Like I know that when I worked with OKKO, Ian Quarterly was he was the director, and he wrote the whole thing and cast it. And I mean, talk about making something happen like from scratch. I mean, that's like awesome. And with me, it's more, it started with music. So I have a lot of musicians and songwriters and that I look up to, and I'm back in piano lessons. I took piano lessons when I was a kid, but I ended up playing by ear. So we're back in, I'm trying to be disciplined about making sure I sit down. You got to practice, basically.
Yep.
You don't just sit down and play, you have to practice your craft. And so my thing is songwriters and people that create. And I'm a big fan of Weird Al. I mean, I grew up with freaking Weird Al Yankovic. He's Polish. He plays a freaking, what is that? I can't even think of it. Accordion. And and I started writing parodies and jingles before I really was doing it for a living. Like that was how I spent my time. I could be in my room all day long writing songs, playing on the piano, recording crazy, insane character voices onto a cassette, and just constantly practicing that. And then I wrote some poetry. So I mean, I would like to get to really like get to a point where I can calm down and like chill, because I've been going like Tasmanian devil. I like it. Great. Like I do well when I've got stuff going on and I'm productive, and it's wonderful and it's exciting. But to really get down to some basics and start writing my own music and or find material from other writers and release an album, cut an album. That's what I really want to do. And then get it out there and let the fans give me some feedback and see if they like. And I also want to get my original album with Carl Finch onto Spotify, and to get that, you got to have time to do this stuff, and you really have to like be good with time management. And that's something I've really gotten a lot better with, that I was not good at, just kind of like all over the place, but somehow making it happen, but kind of like fumbling around with a little bit of ADHD, hyper focused on one thing, but can't get anything done on, can't get the laundry done, but damn it, I'm going to write this parody and it's going to be funny. And I'm going to get it on the radio, damn it, So I just think I'm ready for Dan's going to retire and he is going to be like, basically, I'm going to delegate a lot more to him, which needs to be done because I don't have to do it all. I don't even like taking money at the table for an autograph like that. I want to be just who I'm supposed to be. And I want to be there 100% for the fans to listen to their, because they have a certain amount of time. And if there's a line, it's limited. So just to give 100% of myself to the fans and then, give 100% at home to the creativity behind writing music or who knows what that could lead to. I mean, with Dan at home all the time, we'll be constantly creating. We're going to recreate the entire studio. I'm going to update my demo. I'm going to send all my information out for agents to get more auditions so that I have more opportunities because you get a ton of no's before you get a yes. You get one good yes. Well, that's something, but you can't just stop working. And for me, I'm not anywhere near ready to stop voice acting or even singing. If someone called me and I was available, I'd get up and sing with the bands here in Dallas Fort Worth for weddings and parties, but I'm doing Comic-Con. So I'm kind of just juggling that right now and just trying to get better at it and just, delegate.
This is totally jumping ahead. I'm sorry, Eric and Adrian, but you're talking about your music and we were going to ask, now's the best time as any. Tell us about the music that you sing. Tell us about, the music that you perform and like what your band's called and it's or what music speaks to you too.
Right now our band is on hiatus and that all happened with COVID. We had a really awesome quartet that was derived out of a 6-piece band that was the senior breakfast band for the WinStar World Casino in Thackerville, Oklahoma. Which, can you imagine? I mean, we're like a bunch of rockers and we traveled and do a bunch of clubs and parties and weddings. And all of a sudden we're getting up at 6 a.m. to drive to Oklahoma and perform for seniors. Like what are we going to do with this? It ended up being like freaking awesome. It was 2 mornings a week. There were 6 of us, huge show band stage, 2,000 seniors walking in and out each morning, free breakfast, free points to go play and gamble and have fun. And everybody in the room was over 55, except some of us. But no, we had plenty of our senior moments. But it became its own. It took on a whole life of its own. Like we basically, Dan Bradford, bass player, was hired to basically put a band together and handpick who would fit each role best. In a huge community of amazing top talent in DFW, Dallas Fort Worth. And what an honor, because I got the call, to be the female lead singer / kind of entertainer, grab the mic, run around, be silly, kiss the little old men on the heads and just be a entertainer. And I learned a lot of that from Vince Vance and the Valiants. And then I brought in my costumes and my props and it just became this big thing. And we ended up doing that for 4 years. Like it was crazy. We were called the High Rollers, and to be a part of that put me back on the map with DFW. And then I'll get to that. Dan's having to remind me. I'm like, I'm over here and something shiny and So the WinStar High Rollers basically. I decided to keep it going when the promotion ended, and I started a band called Moonglass Band. So then we started booking smaller venues, and we could do duos, trios, and quartets. We did R&B, soul, jazz, Motown, pop, and country, which we did everything, all of that with the WinStar High Rollers anyway. Because a lot of our music was 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s because we were playing for seniors, which is great because that's what Vince Vance did, 50s and 60s. So I just did more and more of that. But I grew up on disco and 80s music. So that's what kind of speaks to me. And I love how that's kind of been this whole retro thing with 80s music I just freaking love it. And all the live bands are playing all the 80s stuff. And the kids love it. Like, how great is that? I mean, I love
Retro is back.
When I meet young kids and they're listening to Beatles and Pink Floyd and Steely Dan, I'm like, you're all freaking hero. Your parents, I love them. Like those are my people. But so I have a large library of music that I enjoy. Anything from classic rock to disco to I'm actually starting to listen to some jazz with Dan because we play that in the car when we're driving somewhere a long way away, and it is so relaxing. It's like smooth jazz, Feel the F out and be like, oh, everything's good. Slowing down. I'm feeling like I got a nice little cadence here. So, and we play trade songs. It sounds like a little kid game, but Dan and I are musicians, and he'll pick a song and then we'll pick it apart and be like, oh my God, turn it up really loud. And then we'll listen to the percussion, and then we'll realize what we're hearing. And even if we can't do it ourselves, say we don't, he plays bass or whatever, and I don't play guitar or whatever, but I can hear what the guitar is doing. And so that's how I spend my free time, is dissecting music that we both love and then sharing in that appreciation of it. And it's greatness. It's like when I was going through my hard times, I should have turned to music, but I was so devastated by all the disarray and the despair that I couldn't even sing. I couldn't remember lyrics. I was a mess. And so really getting back to really embracing that music is so spiritual, man. It's like so groovy. So yeah.
I love it. I got a very wide array of musical taste from my mom. From when the earliest memory, it didn't matter. It could have been Buddy Guy, BB King, Steely Dan.
Ooh, nice.
Janice
I'm from Memphis,
Joplin.
Tennessee. BB King, man. That's I want to. There's a BB King's in Memphis.
She actually, her and her friend from childhood just flew into Memphis last year for like a blues festival or something, and then
Memphis,
it's just, music is amazing because it doesn't matter. And I got a lot of my taste from my mom, where it doesn't matter. I can listen to the poppiest pop or the hardest rock and everything in between, and just love it. I mean, my wife tells me all the time, she's like, "How do you know this song? It's from like the 40s or 50s," and I'm like, my mom, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah. I was very, very happy, lucky, whatever you want to call it, to even though when we were really little, my parents were very, very young. They got married really young, 18 and 19. Excuse me. And the one thing we always had, and I cherish these memories, is we always had a stereo. We always had music in the house. And for what I wanted to do, it was perfect to have that in the environment for me. And once my dad plugged that little tiny little microphone in and handed it to me, I was like, "Oh, you're not getting this back." Like, I mean, it's time to I don't care. I'm still singing Donna Summer songs, and that's where it all began for me. And I got totally different music tastes, like you just said, from your mom. I got like the 50s and 60s from my mom, and the Barbra Streisand, Barry Manilow, Neil Diamond, and then from my dad, I got all the disco. I got ABBA. I got Donna Summer. I got, John Cougar Mellencamp. What is it? The Doobie Brothers, CCR. And then for my brother, I got Van Halen and Pink Floyd.
Love Van Halen.
And Led Zeppelin. And gosh, I can't even list them all. And then I had my own tastes. Chicago. I got into the 80s Chicago. Well, then I researched and got into the 70s Chicago music. I'm like, my God, these people. And then I started researching where these people came from. Like, it's not like you just turn on the radio and you're hearing a band. Everyone has roots. Like, and some of these band members became solo artists. It's like there's all kinds of stuff on the internet now that you can look at. What's the one I like, Dan? Oh, he's got headphones on too. He can't hear me. I have to wave him down. What's that thing we watch with the Italian guy that picks apart the songs? Rick Beato. Rick Beato.
Yeah, Rick Beato.
Rick Beato.
Yeah, Rick Beato. So,
and then I don't even have all their names memorized, but like there's so many things to watch on just sitting in front of your screen on YouTube or whatever, the background with music and entertainers and musicians and where they started and where they really getting to know like the guitar player for Toto, like and where they started and where they ended up and where they are now. And it's like you just have a new appreciation for their part in history and one of your favorite like bands of all time. And Toto's definitely one of them. It's definitely one of them. So, gosh, if you didn't think you had enough to do during COVID, then poor little babies that had the internet. You had to go outside and ride bikes, stay out till the streetlights came home and play with sticks and play dodgeball, and that's about all we had. And then we got the VCRs, so we could tape our shows.
Yep.
So, yeah. I probably just took us down some just completely oddball road there. But
that's all right.
The music, I don't know anybody on this planet who doesn't like some kind of music.
Yeah.
That can bring you together with somebody that doesn't even speak the same language. It's like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I have music on my iPod from foreign artists, and I don't even know what the hell they're saying, and I love it. You know?
Yeah, and there's so much of it, and that makes me, as a creative artist type person, so happy that there's so many more outlets for people to write, record, produce, and get it online so people can hear it. Because just because it's mainstream, or it's I learned this the hard way too. Like, there's a lot of money behind a lot of the artists, the big artists right now that are mainstream, that are all over the radio. I say mainstream radio, meaning FM, radio. I'm not saying they're not talented, don't get me wrong, but like, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of people who are so uber talented that never like make it. They never get discovered, or but now there's so many ways to be heard and get your music out there and your voice heard or whatever now. And you still might not make it, but if you're making something and you're creating and you're living your best life and you're sharing your gift, well, then there you have it. You know, someone will buy it. Someone will pick it up if it's good stuff, if it's good and they like it. So, and I think that's wonderful, because for me, we didn't have YouTube or internet or anything, and I was just recording on cassette tapes. That's just the only way I knew how to do it. And then they opened up those little karaoke, like at the mall, you could go in and like sing a song and they would record it for you on a cassette tape. Like, I thought that was genius. And it was expensive back then though, but I could have done that every day. You know what I'm talking about? Those little, like at Six Flags, they have like the little, you can sing your favorite song. Anyway, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like the archaic caveman karaoke days. That's kind of what our karaoke was at the time.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, I appreciate you guys talking about music, because I don't always get a chance to do that. A lot of my fans and people in the industry don't realize I have a strong music history and a strong passion for it, and it's never gonna die. Do we have more people? What is this? Oh, the private chat. Oh, look. Joe's like, steer us back to Dragon Ball Z, please.
No. It's totally fine. I was just making sure that they knew what was going on, what was coming next.
Because some people might be speed running, or they're fast forwarding, or whatever. No,
and actually we were going to talk about your music at the end. We just did it in the middle instead. So it just rearranging. It's totally fine.
For me, I'm going with the flow. Chilling like a villain, styling and profiling over here.
Styling and profiling.
In my headphones and microphone, where it's like, can make magic, Yeah.
So you did earlier talk about some of the challenges that does come with the industry of being a voice actor. What advice do you have for people trying to become voice actors in the future?
There's a bunch of them. I get a lot of people coming up asking all the time. I answer all my mail, all my fan mail. I've got my website, stephanienadolny.com. People can reach out there. Now more than ever, and I'm not even really in my complete element when I say this, but there's so much information out there on the internet. There's workshops. There's ways to get started. There's information about what equipment to get, like what to invest in, how to invest your time wisely. acting, getting into acting. You can be a great voice. That's awesome. You can be a great impressionist. That's awesome too. But you need to be able to become a character through just your voice. You have to be able to have dramatic arts and to really embrace a character and be a good actor. So a lot of voice actors, bless their hearts, they don't mean any harm, but they just want to I want to be a voice actor right now. Damn it. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I'm not even getting cast in anything right now. I mean, I've got a couple small projects I'm working on, focusing on the Comic-Cons, but I'm not getting cast by the Crunchyroll people right now. I mean, whatever. I'm just, it's not easy. It's extremely cutthroat, and you can be really good at it. And the same thing, if something rubs them wrong, you're out. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. So you just have to take that closed door and open another one. And I mean, practice your voice, practice your different voices, find out what you're best at. Do some workshops. I mean, I know some great people out there that are doing workshops. At some point, I'm probably going to do some workshops. I've done some guest appearances at some workshops locally, but I've never had my own curriculum or anything like that. I've taught music, I've taught voice to kids, and I've taught piano to beginners. But there's great, some are whatever you call affordable. I mean, some of them are really expensive. Some of them are in LA, some of them are in New York. Some of them are, I don't know. Start with casting sites, and that way you can practice an actual physical process of getting an audition, reading about the audition, getting the copy, the script, and then practicing, get the equipment, get a home studio. My gosh, they're everywhere. You can do that more so than we ever could back in the day. We were going into studios, and a lot of them are back into doing, the live studio stuff. And I know there's a whole different dynamic when you're right in front of a director, but there's just so much information out there that can be researched, and then you can look online for reviews and who people recommend. My friend Chuck Huber is a great voice actor. He does his own workshops, and he's extremely talented actor and voice actor. You find your people and you refer them, like someone might refer me to a young child wanting to get into musical theater, or wants to be a stage performer, or, whatever. And then I can either consult or do like a Zoom call with them, or meet in person and talk about it and help, cause I'm all about encouraging young people that want to go into creative arts, especially if they've got like domestic violence in their home, or they're going through some really hard challenges. Cause that's what Dragon Ball Z was for a lot of people, was even if things were good if things were really bad, you go in your room and you shut your door and you watch Dragon Ball Z, okay, that's an escape. That's a positive escape. You're not on the streets. You're not doing drugs. You're not drinking. You're not, you know what I mean? If it kept you out of trouble and it got you through your hard times, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You win,
Right.
So, I just say start on the internet and do a Google search. I mean, how convenient is that? I mean, it's like, wow.
Right.
And then practice, get advice, get feedback, audition for something, and then see if they can give you some creative criticism. There's some in-person classes you can take. It depends on where you live, but it depends on like the Metroplex and where you actually are. And some people in remote areas just have to do everything online.
Yeah, that would be me. I live out in Bufu, so there's nothing.
Maybe you might want to relocate. Get to a big city, or get to.
Oh hell no! No, I like being out in the country.
Do you like it?
I love it.
I gotta have people. I gotta go to the grocery store. During COVID, I was pulling my hair out. Like, I gotta see somebody.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I was like, cool, stay away. I know.
My brother's like that. He could be happy and never leave the house.
Yeah.
Just get everything delivered. Work, because he works remotely anyway.
Yeah.
Hang out with his dog.
Exactly.
I got a dog. I hang out with my dog.
Yeah. So we're coming up on an hour. I don't want to keep you too much longer. Thank you so much for your time. I just have a couple rapid fire questions for you to end things. Do you have a favorite episode that you've done with Dragon Ball?
I have a couple. I like Path to Power, the movie. It was hilarious. I like the comedic stuff. I'm just naturally better at it, and I naturally respond better to laughter. Laughter is the best medicine. So, in fact, I'm doing some judging for some comedy shows lately, and it reminds me of how much I love comedy and love to laugh. And so I would say the stuff with mostly the Dragon Ball stuff with Goku as a kid when he was really innocent and learning the difference between a boy and a girl, and some of his lines were serious, and all you get away with saying, "Why do women have butts on their chest?" You know, it's like, why can't I take a bath with you, Bulma? Why don't you have a tail? You know, it's like
That's amazing.
And Master Roshi wanting me to bring him a girl. Well, why? And him coming out of the bathroom, you're stinky. I mean, I'm just naturally better at the slapstick. It's just hilarious. I love the punchline.
Yeah.
I like that goes with punchline, and that would be Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball GT had a little bit of comedy too, and Dragon Ball Z, for what it's worth, did as well. It's just a little more serious, a lot more martial arts, a lot more fighting, and a lot more blood.
Do you have a favorite line?
I have my favorite Gohan line is from the Cell Saga, and it's, "You forced me to awaken my hidden power." That's my.
Chills! Oh my god!
I love it.
Now that you've seen it, you're afraid.
Oh,
Yeah, that's my favorite Gohan line, and I also like "I'm my father's son" from the BoJack movie. That's crazy. What a cool line! And some people are like, "That's so stupid. Of course he's his son. What do you mean?" I'm like, cut it out. It's a great
Thank
line.
you.
Like my father's son, like, you know. And then for Goku, it's all the punchline silly stuff from the very, very beginning days, and the Jackie Chan Chung? I'm sorry.
oh yeah, Jackie
Chung. Yeah.
I voiced that one, but I love it when he wins the money and he like really doesn't understand. He just knows that money can buy food, and he wins, and everybody's like, "What just happened? That little kid just beat his ass, and now he's got a." I got money, and then he puts it in his backpack, and he's just off to dinner. You know, it's like, how fun and innocent and basic is that? And that's why I think it's kind of it's lasted so long as far as being a bit of a universal thing, because it talks about the basics of life, living, eating, sleeping, and learning about stuff, people. And the obstacles you face in your life. And what better way to do that than to watch Goku, you know, kick people's butt and walk away with all the money and not have any idea what he's going to buy, but he's got money. So, you know, just the iconic stuff. Time for training, power pull, extend. You know, those are kind of my favorite lines.
I love it.
Leave my dad alone. Don't hurt my daddy. I think I don't know how many times I said "don't hurt my daddy" as Gohan. I did more reactions though. I was called the reactress because really most of my lines early on were reactions.
Yeah.
Shock and awe in 24 different ways. Like whoa, and landing and taking off.
Yes.
You know. That was most of my work from the beginning, was not much dialogue, but lots of that.
I'm curious about, so obviously Dragon Ball Z is very known for its screaming.
Oh yeah.
So was that all you screaming for like Gohan, especially the Cell Saga, you know, where he awakens his extra powers and stuff like that, you know, the epic scene where, you know, Gohan unleashes his unhidden powers and basically kills Cell? Like, that was all you? Like, was it? Did you have to do like a 2-minute scream session, like straight or something? Like, did you do anything like that? Yeah,
I remember it well. I was commuting pretty far away, so I would kind of like warm up my voice on the way to the session. And when I was doing Cell Saga, I was in the studio more often because I had more lines. And there was more for me to do, but a lot of my fans don't realize I was a freaking rock and roll R&B singer. So I was like bashing my voice all the time in a tour bus, like staying up till 4 or 5 in the morning, you know, playing for Mardi Gras balls and festivals and weddings and parties and traveling. And I mean, I was utilizing my voice. I was singing when I was sick. I was losing my voice. I was finding a way to sing when you lose your voice. I was just doing it all the time. And so when it came time to do the Cell Saga, okay, well, you're going to be a badass now, and to me, it's a completely different voice than Kid Gohan, even though he is 11. Like, people call him Teen Gohan, and technically, only Teen Gohan. I don't correct anybody because he looks and sounds more like a teenager in that than he
Absolutely.
does a kid. That's for
Mhm.
sure. But I just found a way to. I mean, I guess I had the chops. I don't know. We would save the screaming and all the intense work for the very end of the session. So say like I was in from 10 to 5 or whatever it was. Take a break for lunch. Take little breaks for water breaks, and then I would usually ask for a day off in between if we had like a lot of work to do. That way I'd have a day of rest, and then I would just try not to talk, which isn't easy for me. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm really shy and I don't like to talk.
Girl, get out of here.
The rock singing and the constant, I don't want to say abuse. That's a terrible word. It sounds negative, but like I was constantly using my voice. I was able to utilize the stamina and all of that because I was already so active with the singing, and we were singing a lot, show after show, day after day. And I don't know, I was paying my dues. I don't know what you call it, but yeah, we would save all the yells and the screams for the end, and then I would just go back to my car, and my head would be like almost exploding, and I would have to just rest, sleep. Sleep and water at that time in my life was just everything to me. I mean, like if I could sleep, in fact, I did a lot of sleeping on the tour bus because we were constantly traveling. And if I was sick or I could tell my throat was going through some strain, I would just be like, I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. Or we get to the hotel, I'm going to sleep. And it would be weird hours or whatever. It didn't matter. You got to sleep, and then you wake up, and then I had tricks that I could use with like the humidifiers and the steamers. And then of course you got your hot tea and your lemon, and stay away from alcohol, stay away from dairy. Like I learned about all that as I went along, but just simply doing it all the time with very little breaks was what I think made it easier for me to handle that much endurance. But I remember some nights I was like, I cannot talk to anybody. No offense, but I'm out. Vocal rest, because I didn't want to get nodes or nodules. You can really do some damage to your throat and your voice. And I had an ear, nose, and throat doctor that I saw on the regular, just to avoid that. I mean, my voice is my instrument. It's my livelihood. I got to protect it. And so, and I'm in Dallas Fort Worth, where allergies are horrible. I mean, and I am allergic. It feels like to everything. So that was something. That's something I have to do regular maintenance, literally every day, is to keep my allergies under control, or I'll get a sinus infection and I'll be out.
Yeah.
And then you're coughing and hacking, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, I can't even talk, So yeah, so it was fine. I mean, there were breaks. There were enough breaks. I wasn't there all the time. I wasn't there every day. Every once in a while, it'd be 3 or 4 months before they needed me again.
Oh, okay.
It was side work. It was not full time at all, unless you're a director or a writer or a translator, or you work in merchandising or licensing, or you're one of the graphic artists or the ADR people. You're not there all the time. If you're talent, it just depends on your lines and the deadlines. So
yeah,
I had lots of breaks.
Okay,
good.
Yeah.
Stephanie, thank you so much. You've been so gracious with your time. I don't want to keep you any longer.
That's
okay. I know you're so busy. What's that?
Maybe next year we could do like a part 2. Or
I was actually going to say we have a plethora of questions we didn't get to, and we would love to have you back. But before we leave, is there anything you would like to plug? Any upcoming conventions you want to tell people about, or do you have a website you want to tell people about? They can get a hold of you or anything?
I do, and it's going to be revamped later this year, but it's stephanienadolny.com. And it's just got kind of like it's not that detailed, but we do try to keep the calendar updated. I do have some exciting news. I will be in New Zealand and Australia next month. I know. We're leaving.
That's awesome.
The 5th of June. I'm actually being invited back to Armageddon, which was it was my first overseas convention, and I was there with Veronica Taylor, the voice of Ash from Pokemon, and I heard she's going to be there too. So I'm going to
very cool reunion.
It's like a whole full circle thing, because my first event with her was 2002, and so here we are, 22 years later. And so I've got that coming up. I try to keep it updated. Dan, like I said, is retiring. He's going to be my full-time manager. I don't know if he knows what he's in for. I keep it fun. I keep it real. So we'll be doing a lot more of that. I also, like I said, I have all these goals about putting my music on Spotify and things like that. So I'll try to post everything there. I am on social media. I'm very active on Instagram. It's just my name, Stephanie Nadolny. I write back to everybody. If it's not right away, I will get back to you. My fans are my world. I mean, I follow you. I follow you. It's just what it is. And then Stephanie Nadolny, voice actress, is my Facebook page. That's like the old school MySpace. No, I'm kidding. And then that's TikTok. I've been doing a lot of stuff on TikTok, not lately, but like over the past couple of years. I have a social media manager, and we've done some stuff. So I'll be gathering some more content for more activity there. And I do a lot of stuff with Mark Britton. He's amazing. He's a comedian. He lives in Colorado. We're doing some signings coming up, and so we try to post regular, because he does Beavis and Butthead too. So we like do videos of he'll do my voice and I'll do his, or we'll switch, or we'll mimic each other. Like, we try to stay up with the trends, because there's always something, I'm a voice actor, so whatever. So I'll be doing some more of that, and that's TikTok and then that's at Steph Nadolny, just Steph Nadolny. But all of that's on my website, and some of my music and animation themes are also, and some YouTube links, I think, are also on my website.
Awesome. I know you're coming to Vernon Hills in Illinois in August, and that's about like an hour and a half-ish, 2 hours from me. So I might be trying to come and meet you in person. Say hello.
You should come hang out. We'll get you a day pass or something, so you can run around and see what it's like.
That'd be awesome.
I don't have my calendar in front of me. I just know that June is insane. Like, I'm not even going to hardly be home. I'm going to be like,
I remember you told me that.
I'm going to get homesick next month. I've got pets, 2 cats and a dog. And I mean, I'm going to miss them. Those are my fur babies. July is a bunch of more stuff in Texas. I've got a DFW show the beginning of July, Collect-A-Con. It's my first Collect-A-Con, so that's going to be fun. I'll be at a vendor booth. I've got McAllen, Texas, South Texas. Amazing. I do amazing in South Dragon Ball Z fans, man. South Texas, South Florida, South California, huge fans. I'm finally going to El Paso in July as well. And I've got some stuff in San Diego coming up. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I'll make sure to post all of that. And I've got Long Island, New York coming up in August, Tropicon. I've got some stuff in Mobile, Alabama, which is great, because I used to travel there a lot with Vince Fans and Vans. We were all over the coast like that. And I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I'll just post it on the website. And a lot of different places. I'm going a lot of places I haven't been before, because I got kind of saturated in some of those areas of like Miami, and I was in South Texas a lot. So I'm going to take a break from them and let some time pass, and then hit some other regions.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm going back to the wicked awesome. I'm going back to Boston, Connecticut. So maybe I can hook up with my Nadolny relatives up there in Rhode Island. And as often as I can get out of Texas during the summer, I do it, because it is hot as freaking crap down here.
It is. I'm in San Antonio. I know exactly what you mean.
It's May. I mean, it was April and it was hot and humid. I'm like, no. It's my birthday month too, by the way, and I don't want crappy ass weather. So
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a birthday episode.
Yeah, right.
I'll be going back to my home state of Tennessee. I'll be flying into Knoxville for Pigeon Forge for the Smoky Mountain Anime Fest. But I'm not going to be anywhere near Memphis, unfortunately. It's on the other side of Tennessee. So I won't be able to see anybody on my relatives. But I'm looking forward to getting into an area of Tennessee I've never been. Smoky Mountains is beautiful.
My wife and I were just there last month.
Oh, were you? Were you in Gatlinburg?
Yep, Gatlinburg, and then Pigeon Forge, and then we drove down to Sapphire Valley, North Carolina. So
I love the Carolinas. I was in Savannah. I was in two areas of Georgia a few months ago, and it was so beautiful. And I was back with all my Southern bells and all the Southern hospitality and the taters and the tomatoes and all that good stuff. Gravy. Had some gravy on the taters. I can go Mississippi like that, because I have Mississippi. Are you hungry? I'm going to go down to the casino, win me some money. My grandma kind of talked like, I'm going to go to the casino. It has an O at the end. But anyway, God rest her soul. She was fun. Deep South stuff, like Southern comfort food. Yeah.
I love it. Stephanie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being patient with me.
Absolutely. We would love to have you back when your schedule opens back up in a few months.
Maybe closer to fall. I know fall and winter. Like I'll probably have a little more time.
Definitely.
Do another one.
Definitely. Thank you. It's been a privilege and an honor. And
yes, thank you.
I mean,
you're so welcome. I want to hear more about you guys next time. We'll hear a little bit more.
Okay, sure.
Get some more chats going on with the fans and see what they want to know.
Yep.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for your time tonight and for working with my schedule.
Absolutely. All right. We will end the stream, and Steph, we'll talk to you in 1 second in the back room. Bye, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys
good night, everybody.
Stephanie, you're amazing. Take care, everybody.
You guys are great. Thank you for having me.